Today, I'm tackling some of the most confusing, head-scratching questions that might come up during your read of Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. And don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything beyond this book. Really couldn't if I wanted to. I haven't read that far yet. I've only finished book one. So I'm really just here to tackle everything that came up as a question mark for me in my reading, maybe required me to just look at it again, read through it again, and try to figure out and piece what went on in my head. And now I figured the best way to do that is share it for you guys, so maybe we all get on the same page. There's a lot of questions I have listed here. If there's something you want to skip ahead to, I'm going to try to figure out how to timestamp everything below so you could just skip to the questions you have and get the clarity you seek. Of course, if there's a mystery you're still stuck on, or maybe I didn't cover here today, just let me know in the comments. Maybe we can hash it out together, untangle this thing one thread at a time. There is a ton going on in this book, so I'm not so cocky as to think I probably didn't miss something. Who are the Malazans? The Malazans come from the Isle of Malaz, and they've been, when we jump into the book, expanding their empire for a few years now. They recently have had their ruler overthrown, and Empress Lysine is now in charge. When we jump into the story, they're conquering the continent of Genbakis. I don't know if I'm saying these names right, just please hang with me. The Malazans have been putting in work. They are at the last bastion of freedom, the last free city, Darujhistan. And that's kind of where the main part of this story takes place. What is a warren, and how does magic work in this world? A warren is essentially the magic source that you have to tap into to access magic in this world. There do seem to be quite a few different types of warrens. Not all of them have exact names, but they do drop some throughout the book. And what we do see is that many of them take different abilities or types of skills or even skill levels to have access to. A warren can also be stretched open to travel through, kind of like a shortcut. Maybe if any of you guys have read Wheel of Time, something like that, where you just able to shortcut through, but it's a little murky, a little creepy. We do see Paran use this transportation method early on. We're book one, the toe's only just being dipped in here. I think you are seeing that a lot of these warrens might be tied to ancient gods, ancient histories. We are definitely going to see a lot more out of this. What is a Soletaken? Technically not 100% sure, but what we think based on seeing that Anomander Rake is specifically referenced as a Soletaken, and his ability to transform into a dragon form, aka Kaido mode. Our best guess at this point is that a Soletaken is a physical being that is able to physically transform itself. What's an Ascendant? Once again, we see that Rake is one, but from what we can gather from context clues, an Ascendant is a pretty powerful being, maybe above the mortal scale, but below God tier, that's capable of impacting very greatly the mortal world. So not gods, definitely not ordinary mortals, somewhere in between. What is the Deck of Dragons? It's pretty much a tarot card reading, but if someone like you or me were able to flip these cards one over the other, we'd have no idea what the meaning beneath them was. But if someone attuned to magic did the deck reading, they'd be able to use context clues and the cards they flipped to try to predict and interpret what's going on in the world around them. Of course, everybody can interpret it differently. The deck doesn't cause the future, it just reflects what's happening among the gods and the higher powers that be. What is a claw? A claw is filled with crab once you crack it open. I'm just kidding, it's not that. The claw represents Empress Lysine's spy and assassin network. A claw is one of these specific spies or assassins. Who are the Moranth, and what are Moranth munitions? The Moranth are these masked, mysterious beings that somehow have access to this greater technology or alchemy or something, but we don't really get a fine clue into who they are yet. What we do know is at this time they're allied with the Malazan Empire, and they give them access to their technologies and tools like Moranth munitions. This is why the Bridgeburners at the end have enough power to, as a backup plan, blow the city of Darujhistan if they have to, using these grenade-like Moranth munitions. What happened in the Bridgeburner mission in Pale were they actually buried alive? This one actually tripped me up a bit. I think it's because of like the time hopping of this section of the book. But the Bridgeburners were sent on a suicide mission. They're this veteran group of the Malazan Empire that, of course, they've been around long enough to have served the previous ruler. And so Empress Lysine sends him on this crash course with Raest, and we all know how that goes. Bing, bang, boom, everything goes awry, and they are literally buried under tons of debris. Not all of the Bridgeburners survive. I think the ones that do are the cast of characters we get in this story. But it's pretty clear at the outset that they were meant to never make it back from that mission. Their survival was not part of the plan. Lysine wanted them in an unwinnable fight from the beginning. And all signs are pointing to the High Mage purposely making sure that that didn't happen with friendly fire. How did Gno's Paran survive after being stabbed by Sari? So the rope, or cotillion, he's taking over Sari's body, and he finally decides that Paran's too unpredictable, don't know what's going to happen with this guy, don't know how he's going to affect my plans, so it's time for me to put him to the blade. So Paran is fluttering away to death. He arrives at Hood's Gate, which is, I guess, the afterworld, the afterlife, and the twins of Opon roll up and decide, you know what, actually, we're going to intervene on this one, and we're going to send him back to the mortal realm alive. While this is happening, Paran does have a little bit of lucidity, so he does feel the presence of the rope behind him, and that confirms for him, hey, the gods are intermingling and getting involved on the human plane. Sari is not a simple assassin. What the moment really shows is that the gods are having their own private war while the humans are having their own war. It's kind of like Hercules getting caught in a divine custody battle, except in this case, Paran is Meg. What is the spinning coin everybody's hearing? This one is a physical signal of Opon's interference into the world. Physically, the characters are hearing or feeling a spinning coin. In reality, that's Opon tilting a situation into the twin gods' favor. That's the reader's cue to say, okay, even though it's not expressly stated, Opon had a hand in this. What is this Jaghut situation, and who is Raest? Way before the Malazan War, thousands of years ago I'm talking, there was this ancient race of the Jaghut. They were extremely powerful. Most of them wanted nothing to do with anyone else, but a few, and again, they are super powerful, had a different kind of vibe. And they would enslave the Tilan Imas, that's Tool's people, and it essentially kicked off this massive war between ancient races. Raest, at the time, was the biggest, baddest Jaghut. Even his own kind feared him. The war coming to a climax, they did seal him away. Because why kill something if you could just bury it down deep and hope it never wakes up? What exactly is a Finnest? A Finnest is basically a magical container for a being so powerful that when you can't kill it, you can shove it into this vessel, Ganon style. So when Adjunct Lorne and Tool arrive at the burial site, it's full Indiana Jones Holy Grail energy. They're trying to pick out which artifact is the finniest. And of course, this little eggshell, acorn-looking thing is the one that's resonating all this major energy, and it just gives off, I'm the finniest vibe. So that's the one they choose, and that's the one that it is. What happened to Hairlock? Other than the fact that he just went nuts, I mean, he realizes the gods are pulling strings, and he just totally melts into madness. He decides to do the dumbest, most dangerous thing imaginable. He tries to access the gods directly. So while Hairlock's like accessing these magical warrens, Anomander Raest, who is the most magically attuned being on the planet, zips over, slashes the dude, and without any hesitation. And this causes Hairlock to lose concentration for just a minute. He loses control of his magical channeling, if you will, into the warren, and it backfires big time. It makes him implode from the inside out and swallows him up. Raest clearly didn't want him to destroy the warren itself through pure idiocy, so he intervened. What happened to Tattersail and what is the significance of her final scene. When the Finnest is disturbed, there's this torrent of magical power that just washes over the land. And Tattersail nearby is caught up into it. She sees it coming, and she basically knows she's done for. So if you remember, at this moment, Belredin is kind of taken her into custody, and he's got this bag of bones of his friends that he wants to lay to rest with him. And in that split moment, Tattersail remembers back to how the Bridgeburners essentially resurrected Hairlock by putting him into the puppet's body with a bag of bones. So she sees this, and she tries to replicate the process and tie her soul to this bag of bones before she's completely obliterated. It's a last-ditch effort, the surge hits, and her body is destroyed. Her idea didn't go exactly to plan. She didn't tether her soul where she thought she would, but it does turn out that she found her way into a different kind of rebirth in the process. What's going on in Kruppe's dream? Kruppe's dream, he knows right out the gate, feels way too real. It's like he walked straight into a God's group chat. He sees a sleeping woman, which we're to take is kind of the essence of Tattersail's soul. So we know she's not completely lost. Then this ancient cold creeps in, which we can interpret as the Jaghut tyrant waking up, and this giant ball is blocking out the sun or the sky, and that we can think of as Moonspawn relocating. Then he sees Rivi, who is actively trying to, I guess, redirect Tattersail's spirit, and Kruppe's witnessing it happen, meanwhile being warned that something big, bad, and horrible is soon to come. What happened to Sari after Cotillion left her body? So when all of this magic and gods colliding is coming to a head, Cotillion goes, you know what? I'm out. Sari is left pretty absent. She's shaken, she's confused, and she chooses the name Apsalar to be referenced going forward. Even though this presence of Cotillion, right, has left her body, something else remains. It almost feels like there's still two things here. It's so subtle that just because the rope is gone doesn't mean all godly presences are. Maybe I'm overreading it. Please let me know in the comments if I'm totally butchering what happened here and overthinking it. Kind of my takeaway though. What the heck happened at the end? The culmination here is at this masked fete party at Lady Simtal's estate. And we'll start with Lorne. Adjunct Lorne, on Lysine's orders, is to take the Finnest that she's disturbed and is awakening Raest and plant it here in the fete to make sure that Raest is drawn to the city. He's going to want his vessel back. Lysine sees Rake as an adversary, and she knows that Rake will intervene, and hopefully that Raest and Rake will destroy each other. So Raest awakens, and he's on the march to the city, and no matter what damage anybody tries to do to this thing, he just regenerates himself back to full health. And we see this take effect when Rake sends his 5 high mage sorcerer Tistandi folks down to do battle. They call them Elient. Essentially, they're able to transform into dragon form. The strongest of the group is Solana, and they're tearing at the Jaghut, but again, he's just regenerating. As they're trying to slow him down, the ancient god Krull, acting through Kruppe, tries to trap Raest in the dream world. The Imas Tool and Krull try to talk Raest down and say, hey, we can offer you a way out here. Let's choose peace, not war. Of course, Raest wants no part of this deal. He wiggles his way out and inserts himself into Mammoth's body by possessing him. This creature is literally hopping from place to place trying to avoid all of these agents that are trying to take him down. Using Mammoth's body, he pursues again the Finnest, and he's intercepted by Quickben and Darudin, who, boosh, just cast a bunch of crazy magic spells at him to try to stop him again. Here we see Quickben is way more powerful than we ever imagined. But somehow, it's still not enough, and Hedge, one of the Bridgeburners nearby, tosses a Moranth munition, aka grenade, and just boom, blows this place up, and he does stun Raest for just a second here. What's also happened is that Paran is sidetracked because he's been confronted face to face with the Hounds of Shadow. Raest appears, pulls out his sword Dragonipur, and just wrecks two of the pack. Paran in this sequence touches the blood of one of the fallen hounds and is whisked into this sword realm in Dragonipur itself. I know it's weird, but here's where we are. It's just this giant shadowed realm where there's this wagon with tons of chained souls. I'm assuming everything that Dragonipur's ever stricken down. And he pities the two hounds that have just been killed for whatever the reason. And in that moment decides, you know what? I'm going to set them free. He does so. They escape to where? We have no idea. But then he is whisked back into reality. Shadowthrone himself now manifests briefly, and Raest just gets in the way and goes, you are not meddling with any of the stuff that's going on in this city anymore. Stay out of Darujhistan. Now, Solana and Raest are having this sick dragon fight. I mean, go reread this scene when she just plummets from the sky. Oh, sick. Then the strangest thing happens, which we don't know what it means yet, but we will because it is insinuated in the title of the next book. This strange primordial root-like tree branch thing grows out of the earth and takes him down with it, and a house grows up above it. It seems to be an ancient prison for ancient powers. Raest is entombed in it. The Empress's plan dies, and Lorne dies with it. Or does she? I don't know. I just feel like she's still alive. It's just my gut feeling. Raest, having protected the city, now departs in Moon's spawn, and the city survives, broken and maybe a little scarred. What are the Gardens of the Moon? Apsalar tells this story that once upon a time on the moon, there was a garden, and in this garden, the gods would come down and walk among the mortals. Now, we don't know what happened to it, or if it's just mythos, if it was lost or destroyed, but maybe one day, if we keep reading, we'll find out. It does draw an interesting parallel because we're seeing that these gods and mortals are duking it out on the planet, and maybe once upon a time, they shared the same garden. Finally, who is the eel? It's one of those not expressly stated, but nice little tip of the cap head nods. Along the way, the eel is Kruppe. Again, y'all, if I missed anything, drop it in the comments. I always love deep diving, high fantasy, learning more about the lore and world building. So if there's something I didn't address in this video today, I would love to just, talk it over in the comment section. Also, if there is something I'm completely blatantly wrong on, please let me know. I don't want to be putting wrong information out there. Again, this thing is so dense, it's hard to interpret, especially without spoiling anything, which I can't do anyway because I haven't read the next book. So I'm working within the confines of this text, doing the best I can to help fellow readers out there. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you soon.